In this video, we will talk about how to find missing numbers and equivalent fractions. So I have 5 examples for us to work through here. Let's check out this first example. We have the fraction 1 over 4 is equal to some number over 20. Now, when we're trying to solve equivalent fractions like this, we're trying to look for, do both fractions have a numerator or do both fractions have a denominator? So in this case, we can see that both fractions right now, they have a denominator. So this fraction has a denominator of 4, and this fraction has a denominator of 20. So what we can say is, how do we go from 4 to 20? What do we have to do? Well, we have to multiply by 5, because 4 times 5 is equal to 20. So whatever we do in the denominator, we can then do the same thing in the numerator. So we can say, okay, what is 1 times 5? Well, 1 times 5 is just 5. So that's our answer. 1 over 4 is equal to 5 over 20. Or in other words, these fractions are equivalent. They have the same value. All right, let's try another example. Let's say we have 3 over 7 is equal to 12 over what number? So we're trying to figure out this number right here. So we'll notice in these two fractions, the numerator is present. So this fraction has a numerator of 3, and this fraction has a numerator of 12. So that means we can ask ourselves, how do we go from 3 to 12? What do we have to do? Well, we have to multiply by 4, because 3 times 4 is 12. So let's write that, times 4. So whatever we do in the numerator, we also do in the denominator. So we'll say, okay, what is 7 times 4? Well, 7 times 4 is 28. So that's our answer. 3 over 7 is equivalent to 12 over 28. All right, let's try this example. Let's say we have 4 over some number is equal to 1 over 6. How can we figure out what this number is here? Well, we'll notice in this example, both numerators are present. So this fraction has a numerator of 4, and this fraction has a numerator of 1. So to go from 1 to 4, what do we have to do? We have to multiply by 4. So let's write that, times 4. So to go from this 6 to this denominator, we can also multiply by 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. So that's our answer. So 4 over 24 is equivalent to 1 over 6. All right, let's try this example. Let's say we have 8 over 16 is equal to some number over 4. How can we figure out what number this is? Well, we'll notice that the denominators are present in both fractions. So this fraction has a denominator of 16, and this fraction has a denominator of 4. So we can work with the denominators. So we can ask ourselves, how do we go from 16 to 4? What do we have to do? Well, we have to divide by 4. So whatever we do in the denominator, we also do in the numerator. So we'll say 8 divided by 4. So 8 divided by 4, that's 2. So 8 over 16 is equal to 2 over 4. All right, let's try one more example. This one's a little different. We have 3 equivalent fractions. So we have 3 over 4 is equal to some number over 16, which is also equal to 24 over some number. So let's start with this first fraction right here, and let's figure out what is this number right here. So we'll notice that the denominator is present for both of the first 2 fractions. So we can work with the denominators, and we can say, how do we go from 4 to 16? What do we have to do? Well, we have to multiply by 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. So whatever we do in the denominator, we also do in the numerator. So we'll say 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So this one would be a 12 right here. Now we can work at this very last fraction, and we'll see that the numerator is present in this one, and it's present in this fraction. So we'll work with the numerators first, and we'll say, how do we go from 12 to 24? What do we have to do? Well, we have to multiply by 2, because 12 times 2 is 24. So whatever we do in the numerator, we can also do in the denominator. So we'll say 16 times 2 is equal to, that would be 32. So that's our answer. So what we'll find is that 3 over 4 is equal to 12 over 16, which is also equal to 24 over 32. So all 3 of these fractions are equivalent. So those were just a few different examples of how to find missing numbers and equivalent fractions.